Hello, my name is Nihad Al Sharif. I'm a professional engineer and a senior RTP member. Today, I have the pleasure to talk to you about codes and standards. But before I start, I would like to share my disclaimer with you. Although I'm honored to serve on different technical committees, including but not limited to the ones on the screen, I'm not talking on behalf of any of these organizations. What I'm going to share with you is my own opinion based on my experience and involvement with the electrical industry. My contact information is on the screen. Please feel free to reach out. Let's start. So our first video today is introduction. And let me start by asking you this question. What do you expect our world to be without standards? So I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it. Just imagine, look around you, just imagine that there are no standards in your area. Just think of how our life would be. Just think about it. So I'll start with a little example. We all order products online. And let's say you're just going to order your next men's size large or women large size shirt. If you don't have standards, how would you know what shirt that you'll be getting, right? It could be the gray one or the blue one. We have no idea to know. This is very important to have a standard size. So when you order, you have confidence that you'll be getting the shirt that would fit your size. We all use and understand graphic symbols. Like this graphic symbol here, it's a restroom, washroom, water closet, whatever English-speaking country you're in, different names, but the symbol is very clear, right? We all know what this symbol means. Imagine if we don't have any graphical symbols. How would you know, standardized symbols, I'd say, how would you know which symbol refers to what? Another common example is the traffic signs. Although traffic signs are not common around all countries, there's some deviations, but there's enough commonalities. Like we all know what stop sign is, what an airport sign is, no parking. It's very similar no matter where you are. But I want you to think, how would our streets look like if we don't have traffic signs, no traffic signs? I think this would be a fair assumption, right? This is where we end up if we don't have any traffic signs anywhere, right? This would be our roads. I can go on and on and on examples, but I think hopefully by now, this few examples that I just shared would give you an idea that we really need standards. And later on, we'll be talking more about details, but just this is our introduction, our first video. I would like to just share some needs, like why we need standards. I guess it's pretty obvious by now that we really need standards. So first, safety. Think of this. You are charging your phone or your tablet, right? What happens if the charger starts heating up? And it could catch a fire, or maybe it would shock you, right? We need to make sure that those products are standardized for safety. At home, we have different appliances, right? You have your fridge, your microwave, on and on and on, right? Many appliances. But what if the wiring of the house is not designed to support or feed all these loads? It could heat up and could catch a fire, which is something that we never want. So that's why it's very important to standardize those wiring at our homes to make sure that it's safe, right? So it's very important to have standards for safety. Our second reason for having a standard is interoperability. And what you see on the screen, it's if you travel, it's very typical situation. We don't have, unfortunately, it's the opposite of interoperability. The power plugs and receptacles are not standardized. So if you are traveling from North America to Europe or vice versa, you would need to bring a travel adapter to be able to plug your devices, your laptop, charge your phone. Unfortunately, this poor guy on the screen, he can't because it's trying to put a round hole in a square peg kind of deal. So, but if we have a standard, this would help us to use our devices everywhere we want. An example is your credit card. You walk up into anywhere in the world, into an ATM machine, or you walk into a restaurant, right? You can just, as long as they have the point of sale machine, you can just use your credit card and pay anywhere you go. Another example of interoperability is your USB stick. You can just plug it into any computer anywhere in the world and it would work no matter where you are. So this is a good example of interoperability, unlike the power plugs that unfortunately they're not compatible with each other. So you need a travel adapter to make sure that you can charge your devices or power them up. Another need for standards is the how-to, which usually we develop procedures and protocols for performing a complex task. Let me give you an example. The healthcare industry is very popular when it comes to protocols, right? So, and they have specific procedure or protocol for taking a test sample, for example, for performing surgery, how to operate in the operation room. When you are, they have a protocol for patients' care by nurses. This is all standardized, and when you walk into a hospital, you're expecting a level of care that is standardized, which is very important. Next time when you travel, think of the maintenance checks that they have to perform on your aircraft. You can't take off until the maintenance crew or the ground crew and the pilot go through a checklist, standardized list of making sure that everything is good. And when they do this, they can't take off or land until they get the okay from the traffic control at the airport, right? So the standard procedure, without it, you can't go in, you can't take off or land. It happened to me many times. I'm sure it could have happened to you as well. Many times your takeoff was delayed because the pilot didn't get the clearing from the traffic control, or sometimes before you land, because let's say they're too busy, there's no runways available, they just kind of circle around in the air until they get the clearing to land. So this is all a standardized procedure that we need to make sure that those tasks are performed. Last but not least, nuclear power industry. If you're running a nuclear reactor, you have to follow very stringent and tough procedures. You can there's no room for making mistakes. So these guys have to follow a specific procedure to make sure that they're doing their job safely. And the following modules will be covering different topics that related to codes and standards. So I just want to take you through a roadmap before I finish this video and so you know what's coming up. And just FYI, you can watch those videos in any order you want. You don't have to watch them in order. And this was the whole idea, that we broke them into smaller segments or modules to make sure that you can watch whichever video you'd like to. So the first module is the introduction, and this is what we are discussing now. This is our first video, and just an overview of what comes next. The next module is definitions. So we talk about some definitions and standards, codes, and what they are, and so forth. After that, we will be talking about the reason for developing standards. And this will be, we will address the question of why we develop standards in the first place. And then we talk about the drivers for developing standards. And basically what the question we'll be going to address in this video or this module is what drives standards? What is the what are the reasons behind driving standards? Next, we move into a standard development process, and there will be a three-part discussion. So the first module number 5, video number 5, it will be the discussion or the answer to the question of where and how, the questions of where and how standards are developed. And then we move on to part number 2, which would be who develops codes and standards. Next, last part of this version, this is video number 7, module number 7, we'll be talking about when standards are developed. Then we move on to types of standards. There are different types of standards there, so we'll be going briefly through the different types of standards available in the industry. Then we move on to, unfortunately, some tragic incidents, and I thought this would be a good idea, or give you a good idea of what happens when we violate standards or the lack of standards. So I'll be sharing some tragic incidents. Unfortunately, they happened, and the reason of developing codes and standards is to prevent those tragic incidents from happening ever again. Then we'll move on to standardization versus innovation. And in this video, I just want to highlight the fact that standardization and innovation are not, they work hand in hand. They're not in opposition. Like just because you're standardizing something or process doesn't mean that it would stifle innovation. So it's very important to highlight this. We'll be discussing this in module number 10. Next, we'll be talking about standards benefit for young professionals and how this being involved in code and standards could help your career as a young professional. I just want to emphasize that this is not, I'll be talking about young professionals, but this is not exclusive to young professionals. If you're more senior, you can always get involved and join a committee or developing codes and standards. It's never too late. So please don't be discouraged when I talk about young professionals. It's never too late to join. It's very rewarding experience, and I will be talking more about this when we get to module number 12, number 11. And finally, our last module, let's save the best for last. So we'll be talking about IEEE Standard Association, IEEE SA, and I would have a little surprise for you when we get there. So hang in tight, and I'll see you there. Some key points, just a summary of what we discussed in this video. So the first thing is, I guess it's clear now that standards are essential to our lives. It's very important. We can't live without standards. Without standards, the world that we know today would be very different. It's not now going to be the same, and we went through some examples on this. Finally, standards are needed for, generally speaking, safety, interoperability, and how to perform a complex task consistently and reliably. Thank you for watching, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.